telling you about the mythical younger brother.
Yeah.
Well, he chimed in and was like, yeah, because I didn't want to name any names. And he chimed in and he was like, oh, that's me. And we had a whole bunch of comments on my video, and he was stoked, and he started engaging with the art of email marketing and made himself known, and actually went into a lot more, I must say, quite transparent and vulnerable detail about what he's actually struggling with and dealing with right now. It's really good. It was really good.
Awesome, man.
And it kind of relates, honestly, a little bit to today's topic, right? Which has helped. I'm overwhelmed. Help. I'm overwhelmed.
Helped.
Okay.
I need some help.
I don't know where to start. I don't have a clear game plan of what's going on. I have some knowledge, maybe a bunch of knowledge. I have some ideas, maybe a bunch of ideas. I'm being pulled in all these different directions, and I don't have clear confidence to know how to put one foot in front of the other and really make a game plan for building a business that I can rely on, that I can count on, has a high likelihood of succeeding, right?
Right.
This is a very, and so people get paralyzed by information overload.
Mm-hmm.
They get paralyzed by overwhelm. They get paralyzed by thinking they have to have it all right in order to get started, thinking they have to all the details like totally perfectly organized so they don't embarrass themselves.
Yep.
Right. These are the struggles that we all face and that our clients can face if they're not perfectly poised to just hit it and crush it. Right. And so
thank you, Troy. Appreciate it.
What's up, Troy?
He's sharing in art of email in his group.
Cool. So. I can't. That's weird. The chat's not coming up for me for some reason.
I'm not seeing it in
Restream.
I'm seeing it in Restream. I'm just not seeing it on the page there. I'm not sure where he commented. Oh, there it is. It's at the bottom. That's why.
Interesting. Yeah, I'm not seeing the chat on Restream at all. That's bizarre.
Just hit refresh then.
Well, if I hit refresh, it'll cut me out of the video.
No. I have a different window open. Just the chat window open on Restream, separate from where we are now.
I guess I don't know how to do that. It's all right. Cool. At any rate, stuck at start. I'll tell you what, when we originally created the Nitro Marketing Mindset, that was my first foray into an internet marketing product.
Right.
And what we did was Nitro Marketing was kind of king of the hill at that point in terms of they're one of the most fastest growing, most innovative internet marketing training companies in the world. They worked with you to sell a whole lot of copies of NPod, right? Yep. And Matt Gill and Kevin Wilkie of Nitro fame. And we created this product called the Nitro Marketing Mindset. And I had as a hypnotist, as an NLP practitioner, I was really interested in modeling and the idea of success leaves trails, clues. And so I was like, well, if I can ask the right questions to these guys and they can tell me how they think, how their brains operate, then I can create hypnosis sessions to essentially implant those ideas in the minds of their subscribers. And so we said, let's survey their list. And this is how Alex Mandossian was full force with his ask methodology, this and not to be confused with Ryan Levesque and Ask, two separate asks.
He had the Ask database where an algorithm that helped you figure it out and keyword density.
That's right.
I mean, I guess the Ask method by Levesque has some of the same similarities, actually.
Yeah, they're both survey methodology to get the right stuff in front of your people, right?
But his Bucket.io stuff has the keyword density and stuff in it as well.
Oh, cool. Interesting. I didn't realize that.
Yeah.
So we asked their list. We sent emails out their list and said, what are the traits that you need most, right? Where are you guys stuck? And information overload was one. Getting started was number two, and I think the last one was follow through. I mean, these are basic issues that everyone faces for our entire lives, right? And when trying something new and going into a new venture,
except it's kind of worse now because there's so much more competing than there ever was back then.
There are more options, there's no doubt, but I don't know that there's necessarily more ability for us to comprehend all those options at one time. I don't know.
But I'm saying it's worse. It's worse, right? Because like, I mean, think about it. Social media didn't exist back then. Right. In 2003, there was no such thing in social media the way it is now. So, I mean, like, that's a whole different realm of thing. The smartphone that revolutionized everything didn't come out until 2007.
That's right.
You know, I mean, so think about like all the different evolutions and how fast, and you know, in like a 12-year period, the growth just boomed and what happened. And a lot of it's awesome stuff, but how can you possibly, you know, sift through it all and make sense of it and try to stay on top of it, you know?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. No, it's true. It's true. I mean, these are the things that paralyze us. They are the things that can paralyze us. And we've been talking about this a lot with our clients who are starting new online business ventures of various sorts. And one of the biggest things that I think holds people back is lack of clarity on what they're building. And so it's kind of like, I'd like you to imagine that you have two kids, okay? Maybe two families, two separate houses. They both live in suburbia. They're in cloned houses of each other. Everything looks exactly the same. And one kid for Christmas, or name your holiday if you're not Christian, gets a really nice 800-piece Millennium Falcon Lego set, maybe 1,200 piece. The other kid, equal amount of money was spent on these Legos, I might point out. The other kid got the ultimate mix bag of like massive mix pack of all these different Legos. And like the kid that got the mix pack, he got like 10 times more Legos, I want to point out. Okay. All right. Like, because they're all mismatched. They're all randos. They're all different pieces. It's like, but the thing is that, and different people, by the way, would like those things. Some people would really like the plan, and some people would really like the mix bag. And that is legit. That is totally legitimate. What I found is that people that really like the mix bag are super creative and have visual images of the things that they like to create pop into their head in such a vivid and clear way that they're able to go ahead and start making their thing a reality. But most people don't operate that way, especially if you've never played with Legos before. Most people are looking for a structure. They're looking for a process. They're looking for a roadmap. They're looking for a step-by-step guide. And I think that's one of the biggest differences between people that are successful at building internet businesses and people that fail to ever start, is they simply either don't have a plan or don't know how to make one for themselves that they can follow that gives them certainty that it's probably going to work, right? And that uncertainty causes us to doubt ourselves. And when we doubt ourselves, are we going to be as consistent about doing those things every day, building toward that thing we're trying to create? Of course not. You know, of course not. So having a plan, having a blueprint, having a battle plan, having something clearly outlined, I think is it's a massive advantage that I had that most people never get a chance to have. I might even go so far as to say that's probably the primary culprit that most businesses fail, because it's kind of hard to adjust and adapt a plan that doesn't exist.
Yeah, and I think that the type of plan is really important too. Like it's not enough to plan something out on paper, and that's where it can start. But you have to, at a certain point, you've got to be willing to get in the game and mold the clay while you're figuring out exactly how to implement that plan.
Exactly.
And there's two learning curves that go on there. So, you know, there's the plan implementation, or the learn by doing aspect of it. And there's no way around that. And then there's the actual like mapping out the plan and what you plan to do. And then it's always different. Then there's going to be a gap, big or small, between what your plan looks like on paper and in your head and actually successfully executing it in the real world. And I find that, at least for me, and what has made a difference for me over the last 23 years, and for many of the clients that I've worked with, is having a learn by doing plan that helps people bridge the gap. Like, it becomes clearer when you're learning as you go, when you have a general understanding of the plan and the overview of where it is that you're going, and then work on the pieces.
Right.
As you go, because there's never going to be absolute perfect clarity where you can then execute the plan without hesitation and know that it's going to work, because you've never done it before, right? So, like in the internet world, it's completely different,
Right.
Yo, Max, what's up, man?
It is completely different. It's really interesting. And so I mean, that's one of the things when I originally went through NPOD. That was one of the advantages that I had when I learned this process from you, is that the way that you structure the lessons and the way you ask the questions causes you to create that plan as you go and start building your business as you're creating the plan. So it's not just exclusively cerebral and academic at all. You're actually learning an idea and then you're implementing it that day, right? You're implementing it that day. So I want to put this out there to you guys. Right now, I still, for whatever reason, can't see any of the chat, Joshua. So I'm kind of flying blind. So it is what it is. But I want to know, guys, do you have or have you faced challenges? Do you face challenges around your ability to execute and build and create businesses if you don't have a plan, or when you don't have a plan? And a plan could be as simple as a very effective first funnel sketched out on paper, right? That, like, what's your traffic source? What's your opt-in page? How many emails are you going to have in your opt-in sequence? What's going to be on the thank you page? Are you going to have upsells? Like that. That's the beginnings of a plan. But it's if you don't know the questions to ask to draw out the plan, to figure it out, then you basically have two choices. Option one is blindly believe in yourself, cross your fingers, and hope for the best. And sometimes that's all you need, honestly. There's a little bit of self-delusion goes a long way in my experience.
I agree.
But the other option is, if you don't believe in yourself, then you're going to need to put your trust in someone else. And the question is, who is that someone? Right.
And there's even a more upstream issue to contend with. And it's how do you, like, if you're not good at this, this being quieting the dissenting voices, because there's no shortage of experts and truly great back in.
Yeah, that was weird. Sorry, I was still trying to look at the chat and somehow it screwed everything up. Sorry, my fault.
So there's dissenting voices, right? And if you're in that space, and it happens to everybody, I don't care how advanced you are or how expert you are at it, because like we were talking about earlier, things are accelerating at an accelerating rate, and there's lots of great insights out there. There's lots of great, there's a million ways, legitimate ways, excellent ways to skin the cat, right? Mm-hmm. And guess what? Another minute from now, there's another million more legitimate, excellent ways to do that. And if you're not able to quiet those dissenting voices and say, all right, this is what I'm focused on. It's not that everything else is wrong or bad or not good, but I can't get distracted with that. I've got to stay focused on this plan and making that go. And if you don't have the self-discipline to put that in place, I find it can become a rabbit hole that you get go down. And how do I know? I know because I've been there over the last 5 years in various ways, shapes, and forms. And like great insights come, great new skills get acquired, and yet nothing gets fully, utilized to the maximum. Whereas like I find like back in the early 2000s, it was easier because there was one basic way to do things, and not that there weren't other options there, but like it stayed very simple and you could stay focused a lot easier. I mean, even then I had to, discipline myself to unsubscribe to all the lists, no matter how great they were, so that I could stay focused on what I was doing. And that's like, it's a struggle for me right now, because like when I go on to Facebook and for these live streams, the amount of private messages and friend requests, and so I always respond back. But in terms of like the responding back to the conversations in the private message area, what ends up happening is that I usually don't have the time to do it, except but maybe once a week, maybe sometimes twice a week. And the reason is because if I go down that rabbit hole, I will stay going down that rabbit hole and not get anything else accomplished. And, it's not that it's not very important and valuable to do that and establish relationships. It is, but geez, like how do you get anything done when you're, doing all that? So for me, what works is getting really disciplined about how to, map things out. And, it relates right back to what you were talking about with that framework to plug into that you can trust, but also then while you're doing that, quieting out all the other stuff that's going to enter your mind, that's going to increase the amount of uncertainty and doubt that you have, because you're going to see something and so says, this is what you need to be doing right now. And it makes perfect sense. And it's working great for them. And that, and so then you get off and veer off down that path.
One thing that I've been really struggling with this. One thing that I've had to train myself to start doing is the dishes. So let me explain. So I lived with my partner and then my kids. Well, my kids for the last 14 years, and a partner for 20 years, and I was not the clean, neat, and tidy one of us, and so I essentially didn't have to take care of keeping things clean, neat, and tidy in my life. And what I found is, as a bachelor at the moment, I have to develop a totally new set of skills in order to keep my kitchen clean and in a reasonable state. And one of those skills that I've had to slowly, begrudgingly start adopting is every single time I go into the kitchen, I try to wash at least one dish between everything else that I'm doing. Because if I don't, they'll just pile up and I won't even notice. Because I go in there to eat and then I'm gone, right? And usually I'm listening to a podcast or on a phone call or like solving a problem. Right. Like I'm not looking at the sink, when I'm making food. I'm eating for calories so I don't pass out. I'm not like, And so I found that I've had to start developing this habit of doing things like doing the dishes. Or another habit that I learned from a friend of mine is never leave a room empty-handed. So every time you're walking out of a room, you always have at least one thing you're putting away, right? Now, we've probably all known, and hey, maybe you're one of these people, we've probably all known someone who has a much higher degree of being clean, neat, and organized than you, right? And hey, if you're the one, cool, you're the one of everybody, you're the clean, neat, and organized one. That's okay too. But when it comes down to your business, and doing the little things automatically that you need to do to move you forward toward your goal. If your goal is to have a clean kitchen, then you're doing a dish every time you get a chance. And you might do a few dishes before you go to bed just to squeeze in a few more last dishes. Or, you might do it first thing in the morning or on that phone call because you want that clean kitchen. That's the goal. That's the outcome. That's the plan, right? That's the thing. When you're dealing with an invisible internet business, it's much harder to see it, right? You only see you see the web pages and you see the money in the bank, or you don't. Everything else is it's on your screen. It's digits on the screen, and you need to know how to look at it, where to look at it, how to interpret it, all these types of things. And so if you don't have a clear plan in mind on what you're building toward, it becomes very difficult for you to wake up a little earlier and work on it, or to know what to be listening to as far as podcasts in your free time while you're driving, or to think about who you should do business deals or alliances with or reach out to introduce yourself to, because you don't know what you're creating. You don't know what your outcome is.
Yeah.
So you guys that are watching, that are listening, have you ever faced procrastination, analysis paralysis, information overload, overwhelm? Has that stopped you from moving forward with your personal, financial, business, entrepreneurial objectives?
Right.
If so, first of all, you're in good company.
Welcome to the real world.
and second of all, there's an answer.
Yeah.
And if you want to talk about how to really map out your perfect internet business plan, your perfect internet business blueprint for the kind of business that you want to build, you may or may not, you probably don't have all of these answers. But what we can do is we can get on the phone, we can talk it through, and I'm going to ask you a bunch of questions that are going to help you get super, super, super clear on what your plan is, so that you can then move forward and build it. And if you want to move forward and build it on your own, hallelujah, I think you should. And if you want to move forward and build it with us, and it makes sense to work together on it, it's the type of business, the type of model, and we like each other and all that kind of stuff, then hey, we can talk about that too. But the reality is, if you don't have a super clear plan in your mind about what you want to build, and you have uncertainty, that uncertainty is the problem. And having a clear plan and really getting it defined, in my experience,
and having like a team to bounce things off of, that you have to show up to, is important too, because, like you said it earlier, it's the little things that are easy to do. Like, you like, I would even venture to say, if you've struggled with the procrastination or the confusion and the overwhelm, it's not a question sometimes of not knowing what to do. It's like, there's too much, but it's not like any one thing is too hard. Right. But the other side of the equation is that the stuff that's easy to do is easy not to do, to let it slide. Mm-hmm. And, when you have a team or, some sort of a support system around you, you can, that stuff you can start to design systems to help keep you engaged. Like you were talking about, never leave a room without something with you, or, when you walk by the sink, wash a dish, right, or whatever it is for you. Like, for me, when I'm building a new habit, I love the changing if then to when then. And like, when this happens, then I'm going to do X, Y, and Z, so that the when triggers. It's not if this happens, like a contingency plan. Right. It's a when plan. And having the human dynamic of teamwork with it is huge. Huge, right, to be able to have that, not only sounding board to bounce off of, but like the accountability and just to keep yourself engaged. Because I know, like, it's easy for me to break my word to myself, a promise that I've made to myself. But I'm a nutcase about, as you well know, about keeping my word to anybody on anything external, right? And so, and I think a lot of people are that way. Like, it's easy to let whatever commitments you have for yourself slide, but for when you include other people in it, there's a different measure of it. And
totally,
that's kind of, yeah.
I mean, we were talking about this, I think, earlier today. I was talking about this on a counseling session earlier as well. And it was like, I mean, I have a really hard time consistently showing up and live streaming every day without a co-host. But with a co-host, I'm like 95%. You know what I mean? Almost.
I'm the same way.
Like I have to have a really good excuse to bag out on our daily live streams, right?
Right.
And I'll tell you, my toilet explosion that just occurred, that was almost a really good excuse. I can safely say it had nothing to do with my own personal bodily functions.
Well, good to know. And still, let's leave it at that.
That's right. That's right. So it's really interesting. I was talking with this with my therapist earlier today. So I'm at like 11 weeks now of Monday through Friday morning training with my kids and a few of their friends. And I told you this on Positive Focus this morning. I broke 4 minutes with my plank.
Yeah.
And that was pretty awesome, pretty breakthrough. But the consistency, because my kids asked me to train them.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And the fact that there's a kid from another family as well, right?
You gotta show up.
And I'm friends with his mom. You know what I mean? Get like I'm up, I'm there, I'm almost always on time. Except when our morning meetings run over, and I'm there like working out for an hour and a half, 5 days a week for 3 months, without me having to be on someone else's team. And without me having to hire a coach to get me to do it every day, because I became the coach, and essentially the kids hired me, and it's my responsibility to, not one of them, all of them, to show up. And as a result, I'm doing all these upper body exercises, all these core exercises that I should have been doing for the last 20 years. I know it, but I haven't been doing them. And like, I'm getting a lot stronger. It feels great. You know,
right.
So sometimes you have to trick yourself into creating that clarity and confidence so that you can do those things every day, and having a group of people that you're working with to cheer you on. And
it doesn't matter whether you're the leader, the coach, or the participant, just having that, that date,
that's the secret sauce. Like that, it's the winning combination, So if you are feeling underconfident in your own ability to build the business that you're trying to create, whether you're growing your existing business or starting a new one, if you don't have a solid team of people that you can rely on for mental and emotional support to keep you focused as you're moving forward, and if you don't have a clear, I'd say, business plan and or visual flowchart plan of the business that you're building, I would suggest that is what's keeping you stuck. That's what's keeping you uncertain, and that's what's keeping you paralyzed. If you're tired of being stuck, if you're tired of being paralyzed, if you're gonna say, you know what, 2020 sucked, 2021's getting better, then I encourage you. I have a few spots left on my calendar right now. I generally only have a max of 2 hour-long spots per day available. So there's not like a ton of free time that I have to chat with people. So you need to have the fire in the belly. You need to be serious about really wanting to build this, not just, oh, ho hum, I might want to do something one day. If you're, I might want to do something one day, no beans. If you're, I'm going to do this, I'm going to figure it out, I'm going to improve my financial situation, I'm going to build a new business, I'm going to supercharge my existing business, I'm going to get this right, I'm going to get unstuck right now, I would love to chat with you and A, walk you through your perfect business plan, and B, talk about working together if it makes sense. So you can go to letstalkprivately.com, and I have a few sessions available over the next few days. It's first come, first serve. So if you hesitate, they might get filled up, and that's the deal. Also, there'll be a few questions. So in order to complete the whole booking process, you need to select the time slot that's going to work for you. And then we're going to ask you a few questions about yourself and your business, just so I can get a quick read on where you're at and what you're looking to build. So going into the call, I'm not flying completely blind. So you do need to answer all of those questions in order for your booking to be completed. So set 5 minutes aside and just take the time to answer those clearly when you do that. So letstalkprivately.com is the place to go. Joshua,
yeah.
Do you have any other pieces you want to add or chime in on analysis paralysis, information overload?
Yeah, I mean, I think we covered it. It's pretty much, I mean, that's the hard part, right? It's like getting in motion and setting up a plan that allows you to get into implementation action mode before you have it perfect clarity and you have it all figured out.
Right.
Because, again, there's always that gap between knowing what to do and then successfully being able to execute it. And there's always going to be, it's going to be different. So you might as well have a general, map, which is important, and a blueprint of where it is that you're going, and make sure that, it's going to lead you where it is that you want to go, to the kind of business that serves you, that is, that you'd actually enjoy running and making the difference and the contributions that you want to make. All of that is, important, of course. And the comment I see, I don't know if you saw it, Telman, that your comment about, is this thing on? Yes, it is. I can see it, but I don't know if you can.
I'm seeing that it's pushing to YouTube and Periscope, but I'm not seeing that it's actually pushing to Facebook, which is interesting.
Is. I'm on Facebook.
All right. Well, obviously Restream is updating some stuff.
Yep. So anyway, the bridging that gap as quickly as you can and getting into execution mode so that you can fine tune it. Like, once you have that overall, 100,000 foot map of where it is that you're going, and that it's built around your desires, your, passions, and whatever it is that makes sense for you, that a business that you want to run, then it's about the details of it are always going to be shifting. And there's always going to be zigzag along the way. It's never going to be a straight line from A to Z, where it is, where you are right now, even though we'd like it to be, and we want to get there, 1, 2, 3. It's going to be a zigzag approach. And the question is, do you have or can you build one for yourself, a way to get into action and be upfront with learn and do, and get yourself the feedback that you need so that you can tic-tac. Because what I find that happens with a lot of people, Telman, is that they're doing a lot of tic-tacking and a lot of activity and a lot of hard work, but they're basically staying in the same general vicinity, and they're not stopping to see whether they're getting any closer to where it is that they want to go. And it's probably because they don't even know where they want to go. And then they're not stopping to figure out whether the activities, the actions, the things that they are executing on are bringing them closer, further away, laterally, or whatever,
Right.
And it takes that constant, assessment.
And that's where keeping track of your KPIs makes all the difference in the world. It's which KPIs is key performance indicator, guys. And so in a direct response email-based business, some examples of KPIs that you'd want to keep track of on a daily basis. And keeping track of one KPI is where you start, by the way. And like the one, like direct response email basis, I would say your one KPI is how many people are on your email list that you can send email to today. Is your list growing or shrinking? That is not the end all be all, but if you're just getting started with this, you're building your first list, you're getting some leverage, you're building your audience, you're taking action, you're driving traffic somehow, some way. Maybe you're a blogger, maybe you're a podcaster, maybe you're driving Google ads, maybe you're driving YouTube ads, maybe you're a YouTuber, maybe you're a Twitter fiend, whatever, maybe you're a TikToker, maybe you're a, maybe you're an author and you're driving traffic with your books, selling books off Amazon. I mean, there's a million different ways to drive traffic. Maybe you're a radio talk show host. I don't care, whatever it is. But if you're not paying attention to the size of your audience and what your actions are doing to grow your audience, then you're not even paying attention to the most important thing, which is leverage. Are you or aren't you gaining leverage, right? It's very easy to feel shy about reporting these types of things. And this is one of the pieces that we teach you guys how to do, that we train you guys how to do, is how to pay attention to the right numbers in your business. And again, that's a starting point. That's a seed in the ground.
Here's just 2 tips that you can use and apply in your life, no matter what you're doing. Number 1 is, keep in mind, try to make your assessments in what I call a how many by when format.
Yeah.
Just how many by when? What are the numbers? And then when you're evaluating, like, what's working, what's missing, what's next in terms of the how many by when, like, did it happen? What happened? What were the results of those things? Then write this down, because this is absolutely mission critical. No results plus a really good story does not equal results. I'll say it again. No results plus a great story, no matter however legitimate it might be, does not equal results. And so what that means is, and it's actually good news, right? Because we spend so much time coming up with the story, explaining the story, is telling the story about why we did not hit the numbers that we were going for in our how many by when format. And first of all, very few people like to set a how many by when format deadlines. I'm talking about once you've got the actual business map laid out for yourself, then you start mapping out how many by when in a step-by-step fashion.
Hey, dude, hold on. So I think we're having a weird broadcasting issue right now.
Yeah.
I'm gonna test it. Okay, so if you guys are watching, let me know.
I mean, we're live.
I'm looking at our video
Oh.
stream. Dude, hold on. So I think we're having a weird broadcasting issue right now. We are. And we are not. We are broadcasting our audio, but not our video.
Oh, well,
So
isn't that
here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna refresh this page, and we're gonna see what happens. We're both gonna get kicked off. Okay. I'm back. You're back. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yep. And I'm gonna go ahead and
We're at Facebook, and it's showing. Yeah, we're back there. So that's.
We are back. We are now back.
Well, that's too bad. I'm not sure when we cut out there. That's very strange. We should probably then not try to salvage it and figure out where we left off, and just call it, I guess.
Yeah, I think so too. So the long and short of it, guys, is if you're stuck and you want to get unstuck, you want to get a really cool bulletproof business plan to really build and or grow your internet business, then go to letstalkprivately.com. I have a handful of slots open on that site where you can book a private call with me. There is no obligation, but I'm expecting that you're looking for help and that you're seeking guidance and mentorship. Potentially, if it makes sense for us to work together when you go there. So if you're a student and you're looking for a mentor, if you're looking to get clarity on your plan and really build the business that you want, letstalkprivately.com, and we can talk about what it would look like for you to work with Joshua and myself on really not only getting the plan clear, but building that business that you've been dreaming of, even if you don't have complete clarity on it right now.
Oh, Max just put in the comments, all audio came out perfect, just no picture.
Awesome.
All right, well, cool, because nobody needs to see our mugs anyway, although I don't know how many people are actually going to listen, although the video started, so maybe we'll get people
That's right.
roped in that way.
Awesome. All right, everybody. Well, thank you. Thank you, Joshua. Great chat.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks, Max, and everybody else who was chatting with us here today. And we'll see you guys tomorrow at 2 p.m. Eastern.
See ya.
Over now. Bye-bye.
Bye.